John Lennon once said, "For those in the cheap seats, clap away. But for those up close, all you need to do is just rattle your jewelry." Vinyl Guru in the house. Here to talk to you today about live albums. Fabulous live albums. Here we go.
Vinyl Guru, Vinyl Guru. Vinyl Guru.
Now, live albums. What's the point of them? Why dive in? Why spend your money? Here. It was people like David Cloverdale who said that live albums were like a cop-out. But in my opinion, I often think that live albums are great because they're grand at capturing the essence and smell of the room, you know? They can really emphasize the magnificence of the artist at the time and the energy that they were pulling to invoke that bit of sorcery, dear. Now, let's get into some live albums that I just quite adore, and I'll tell you why. Alright, so first one up to grab is gonna be Aretha. Miss Aretha, darling, live at the Fillmore West. This is gonna be a record that came out in 1971. Truly exceptional. This is amazing for many reasons, but I really love that, you know, mid-60s, late 60s, and early 70s Aretha era. I think it's really something. Not only does she harness the right energy, dear, but just the way that the order was put out, dear. I mean, she starts off covering Otis Redding's Respect, but there's so much stuff that she covered here. She played at the Fillmore West, first of all, a hippie town, you know, San Francisco at the time was quite hippie. She played there to, I mean, her producer, Jerry, was trying to really harness an unexpected hippie crowd. Oh, yes. So she not only was playing to a hippie crowd, but she was also covering quite hippie-esque things, you know. I'm talking Crosby, Stills and Nash, Bread. We got, you know, Beatles, Simon and Garfunkel, you know, this whole concoction that a lot of people wouldn't really expect from Aretha. That's the thing. But so this is fabulous. I love this Aretha era. Truly something to dive into. And I mean, I love Aretha because she had an amazing band. No denying that. One of my favorite drummers of all time in the soul world, Mr. Purdy. Oh yes, Bernard, honey. Bernard Purdy was a don to not be played around with. He really knew what he was doing, and yes, he was playing live with her on this one, as were many great artists, but I love Bernie and his touch. Anyway, Aretha's live record. Here you have it. The next album I'm going to talk to you about is a perfect segue from Aretha, as he was mentioned. But this is a man that died far too young and had such magnetic energy live. It was really, truly something to witness, especially for those that were there. This is the Killer Rock House Redding, the Big O. I'm talking Otis Redding, live at the Whiskey, darling. Oh, the Whiskey, what a venue, what a venue. I mean, having seen it in person, it is tiny. So to have seen him there would have been mind-blowing, dear. This came out in 1966, and this was kind of around the peak era of Otis because, I mean, a year after he would be playing the Monterey Pop Festival. But this is phenomenal. He had like 4 albums at this point put out around when this came out. So he was really, you know, he had his bearings well oiled and greased and knew what he was doing, darling. An amazing live album.
I've been missing you for so many days. But time
Next album is gonna be my favorite metal band. Oh, honey, we're talking Judas Priest. Yes! Priest live. I love this. You know, I could have showed Unleashed in the East, which is a live album that they did in Tokyo. That was their first live album. This is their second. But that one didn't have that live sound, that live feel. It sounded so polished that I figured might as well show Priest live. Now this came out in 1987. Set over there. And this was this came out for the Fuel for Life tour. They were promoting the Turbo era of Priest, and I know a lot of people don't really like Turbo, the album, but I really didn't mind it at all. I mean, you got Out of the Cold, some good songs, okay, but I'm not gonna get into that. This is a really great live album, though it didn't sell that well. I didn't mind it at all. There, classic killer Priest. Another one to really showcase is probably one of my favorite live albums ever. This is gonna be Elton's 1770. Ooh, honey. Well, with this genius, this is really a peak for Elton in terms of the energy. This was meant to be just a live radio broadcast that was done on this date, of course, but as you see, this wasn't really intended to be out in the public like that as an album release. This was his first live album, by the way, 5th release, but first live album. The record labels weren't expecting to put this out either, but they seen so many bootleggers and people putting this out, you know, bootlegs being sold everywhere for this. So the record label figured, well, we might as well really put it out officially. But the bootleggers, it's funny enough, the bootleggers actually have the longer version. They have like the 60-minute version, full version, instead of like the 48-minute version that we get here on this little old thing. But there's even one that's like 80 minutes long. So honey, it's a whole shebang. But this is truly a phenomenal LP to dive into. Here we have it.
Señorita play guitar, plays it just for you.
This next one is not going to be that much of a shock to you coming from me, but it is one to note because they are really well known for their live work. I mean, my dear. Okay, they have two. I'm going to show you one and the other. We're going to fly through, but Talking Heads. Oh yes, the name of this band is Talking Heads. This is from 77 to 81. It's a double LP. It's phenomenal. Okay, it's phenomenal. But this wasn't the live record that made them huge. I know that you all know what's coming next. Yes, 1984's Stop Making Sense. This Stop Making Sense tour, this concert film was so phenomenal for the time. It did so well, honey, and it harnessed a lot of, you know, exposure for them. It's genius. It's genius. Why a big suit indeed, honey, but we love it. We love it. I mean, the beginning of this is so phenomenal too. You know, it's him kind of coming with a like tape recorder, playing Psycho Killer, but it's really like drum machines. It's just great. It's just great. Visuals were great. Sounds were great. The dynamics were there. Everything was there, dear.
Can't seem to face up to the facts.
So let's just have at it, shall we? This is gonna be the Thin White Duke. Oh, darling. Stage. I love this live album. I do. This came out in 1978. Kind of harnessed the audio from Boston and Providence and Philly as well. So, you know, they cooked it up. But some of the people playing in his band at this time, exceptional. He did not play around. He always had the best of the best. Here are some of them, okay? First of all, his core band, which was, you know, George Murray, Carlos Alomar, Dennis as well, Dennis Davis. But we've got Adrian Belew, who I adore, okay? Anybody who knows Frank Zappa and all of his work really on guitar should know who that is. Simon House from Hawkwind. Okay, we've got Roger Powell, who was known with working with Todd Rundgren, especially when they were working on Utopia. And Sean Mays, who's worked with quite a bit of people too. So here's at it. Dive in, swim in the ocean. Well, there you have it, folks. Live albums, live and in action for you. So, let me know in the comments below. Let me know which live albums you just simply adore as I exit stage left. Don't forget to toodaloo as well, darling.